My name is Bob Ryan. I'm with Remax Concepts here in Lincoln, but more importantly than that, I'm here today to introduce Tony Goines and his nonprofit organization called Just Do Business. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Bob. It's an honor to have a chance to chat with you today.
Well, it's our honor, I'm sure. So all of those listening in, thanks for joining us live on this Ignite broadcast. We're on Lincoln's Facebook. With me today, as I said, I have Tony Goines. So thanks for joining us on our Ignite Lincoln 20-month-long event. Tony, I think a lot of people out there don't really know about Just Do Business. Can you tell us what it is your organization does here in the city of Lincoln?
Yes, Bob. So I think let me kind of add some clarity and color to Just Do Business. It is a part of a movement called Do More Good, and Jay Wilkerson and Graham Pansing Brooks lead the Do More Good effort, and Just Do Business is really just a subsidiary. So why don't I start by just kind of framing why Just Do Business is important. I think there's no secret that there's a fair amount of social unrest, and that's not just in Nebraska, that's across the country. I think you can see it really across the entire globe. And so there have been a lot of really great people here in our state who have called me and others and say, what can we do to help? What can we do to try to mend some of the gaps and close some of the challenges and some of the pain? And that conversation has largely been a philanthropic conversation. So, where do we write a check? How can we give money? What can we do to support? And what we've said is a really dear friend of mine, Robert Blackwell Jr. out of Chicago, who is really the founder of the Just Do Business movement. We've come up really with 7, really, I'll use the term initiatives that would be really critical that would help close some of the social gaps. So what we say is that the real challenge is an economic challenge that leads to social challenge. The problems that you're seeing, a lot of them have to do with issues and challenges of people that have what we call poor people issues. And that when you allow Black people to participate in the economy, you give us meaningful opportunities, then it gives us a chance to create better financial situations for ourselves, which gives us the opportunity to take care of our families and to live a better life. So Just Do Business. I'll talk about the 7 initiatives that are a part of Just Do Business. Number 1, if you are a majority firm and you have a board and you don't have any Blacks on your board, you need to evaluate your board makeup and your board composition, because we all know at the board level that really sets the strategic direction of your firm. And if you don't have any level of diversity, i.e. Blacks on that board, then you're missing out on an opportunity to think about strategy and to think about your market and how you serve that market, which is a revenue driver. So that's number 1. Part of that is also your C-suite. So if you look across your C-suite and you're a majority company and you don't have any Blacks on your C-suite, then again, that's really synonymous with what is happening with your board. You're missing out on an opportunity, and you don't have a true reflection of the market that you serve, which is a revenue driver. Because as I talk about Just Do Business, Bob, I'm taking the emotion out of it, and we're talking about economics. We're talking about economic inclusion. We're talking about the ability for Blacks to be able to participate in a meaningful, impactful way in our economy. And when you think about the way firms interact with the market, you need to have Blacks at the C-suite level and at the board level. So that's number 1. Number 2, you have to think about your hiring practices. So if you look at all of the ranks in your organization and you don't have any Blacks in your ranks, and that's from the frontline rank all the way up to the C-suite, then you need to think about recruiting. Now, I've had a lot of my friends say, Tony, when you look at the percentage of Blacks in the city of Lincoln and the state of Omaha, those numbers are fairly small. And I've responded by saying that you have HBCUs around the country, and that's historically Black colleges and universities. These HBCUs have some of the most talented leaders that you will ever meet in your life. So the recruiting effort should be geared towards the HBCUs, and that's the undergrad and the master's program, with the intent of recruiting these Black leaders to move to Nebraska, and not just getting them to move here, but how do you create a culture so that they feel welcome? How do you create a culture so that they feel comfortable and so that they want to stay? It shouldn't be a revolving door where we have high recruitment but high attrition. And then it comes down to not just mentorship, but sponsorship. And sponsorship says that if I recognize that this is a talented person, then I'm going to sponsor this person as they move through their careers and move up to levels of the organization and have a higher level of influence. So that's number two. Number three, vendor practices. And your vendor practices, if you're a large majority business, you should look at your vendor list. And if you aren't doing any business with a Black business at scale, then you have to ask yourself why. Because what happens is, if you do business with a Black business at scale, and I use that term at scale, then that allows them to hire more Blacks from their community, pay them more than just a minimum wage, pay them a meaningful wage so that they have health care, they have health insurance, and they can participate in home ownership. Home ownership is an outcome of economic success. So if you think about your vendor list and you do business with Black businesses, then you are supporting that infusion into the Black community is supporting Just Do Business. And what we say to the Black businesses out there, that you have to be prepared. You have to have a meaningful value proposition that differentiates you from the competition and allows you to service customers at the highest level. You must be prepared to hire more Blacks and train them so that they support that value proposition. And then you must give back to the community. So economic success, look at your vendors, and that is critically important. Number four, if we think about the movement of our economy, technology is the headline. And so if you look at really the Black business infrastructure across the state of Nebraska, is more made up of the service industry. If we're going to have any level of sustainability around economic inclusion, we have to participate in the tech economy. If you look at what's happening with Microsoft, with Apple, right now they're predicting that Apple could hit $2 trillion or $3 trillion. So if you really think about sustainability and longevity, we have to be able to participate in the tech economy. And part of that may be that we look to recruit large tech companies, Black tech companies from Atlanta, from Chicago, and other places around the country, so that we strengthen our tech infrastructure. And I will talk about also not just tech, but also the trades. So how do we participate in the building of our Nebraska state infrastructure at scale by having trades and having construction companies that have the ability to partner with our larger majority construction companies, again, at scale. Number five is how do we use, if we're going to use philanthropy, how do we use it to allocate capital so that our small businesses, Black businesses, have the opportunity to participate in the entrepreneurship economy? So if you think about entrepreneurs, one of the larger hurdles is, how do I get access to capital so that I can start a business? Now, that means that business, you got to have a credible business plan. You have to do all of the things. And let me just preface this by saying, this Just Do Business is not a license for Black businesses not to really come to the table with excellence. And it's not a license to say that we want a handout. It's a license to say that if we work together, if we just do business, then that allows all of us to participate in the economy. And so number five really has to do with allocate capital. Number six, we are working on creating a resource guide. So if you are a majority business and you're looking to do business, there should be, and there will be, an online resource guide that will allow you to look and sort in different categories and determine what your needs are and where you do business and the Black businesses that you will have a chance to interact with. And last, as I stated, taking the emotion out, we talk about talent, economics, and just do business in a manner that helps to drive revenue and profitability. So it's not about the emotion. Emotion has its place, but this is about looking at the data. And what the data tells us is that when you have inclusion in your organization, when you have an organization that services and replicates the markets that you service, What the data says is those firms are more profitable. Those firms generate more revenue. You also allow Blacks to participate in the economics or in the economy. Last I'll say, as Robert Blackwell says, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, and Tiger Woods are all Black. They don't have a problem with home ownership. They don't have a problem with where their kids go to school, and nor do they have a problem with healthcare. Why? Because they are a part of our economic system at a really high level. And when you give us that opportunity, then it gives us some level of dignity, some level of parity. And that's just do business.
Tony, I'm so impressed. Holy smokes. Just a great laundry list of things that we can be doing. Tell me, Tony, how long has your organization existed in Lincoln?
Well, Just Do Business, I would say Robert and I started really talking about Just Do Business back in the October, November timeframe. I think it more so escalated, quite frankly, Bob, after the George Floyd incident. And you started having a lot of unrest, a lot of protest, a lot of destruction around the country. And so Robert started getting a fair number of phone calls, and so did I, about what can we do. And, again, we think protesting has its place, but at the end of the day, what happens after the protest? So how do you really close the gap economically and give Black folks the opportunity to participate in the economy? So I'd say right after the George Floyd incident, Robert actually came here to Lincoln, Nebraska. He spoke to 80 CEOs on a Zoom call, and Just Do Business really started to manifest at a more intense level right after that incident.
Well, we've certainly all focused on these issues after the Black Lives Matter movement, and we are all paying a little more attention, I think. Tell me about these donations with your mission, with what you're trying to accomplish. How will these donations, how are they going to help your organization toward that mission?
Well, let me say this, Bob. One of the things, and I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I will tell you, I've worked for some fairly large firms throughout my career, but starting a business is one of the most challenging things that I've ever done in my life. And so what you tend to find when entrepreneurs start a business is there are challenges around, number one, how do you pay for ensuring that you have clean financials? You're typically a 1 or 2 person show and you're trying to do your books yourself, but that's not going to work at scale. And it's not going to work very long because you've got accounting practices that need to be followed. You've got taxes that need to be filed on time. So that's number one. Number two, typically an entrepreneur also becomes the head of HR. And if you don't have any HR experience, then you could make some decisions that long-term or even short-term could cause you a challenge or cause you some levels of problems. And then number three, think about marketing. So, most entrepreneurs, you start off by thinking about what can I do by using social media to spread the word about my business. But at some point in time, Bob, you're going to need a really sophisticated marketing program to help articulate your value proposition and really help ensure that people know what you do and who you are and how you differentiate yourself from the competition. So that being the case, as Black businesses start to grow, the donations from Just Do Business will be allocated towards firms that will help ensure that we wrap around these Black businesses that have shown the propensity to be ready, and we help them ensure that they have clean books, clean balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement. That also gives them the opportunity to be bankable, so they can go to a bank if need be and form a real relationship with a community bank. We want to be able to make sure that they have HR support. And so they're not trying to be the HR leader themselves. They can focus on what they're really good at, which is typically providing the service or the product, the creation of their service or product. So we want to wrap some level of an HR service around them. And then we want to make sure that they have the ability to have some level of marketing services. And these are typically, Bob, when you're starting a business, you don't typically have the capital right away to be able to pay for those services, which makes it more difficult for you to get your business off the ground. So if we could use some of the funding from Just Do Business to help those businesses with those wraparound services. And what the data will tell us is that the propensity for them to do much better, much faster, will be inevitable.
Tony, I'm so impressed with your business, coming from someone who knew nothing about you or about what you do. And I'm also very impressed with your articulation of your business and your mission. Can you share with our audience any special projects, or what are you working on at this moment? What are you focusing on right now?
Well, what we're focusing on right now is at a state level, which is being driven by Governor Ricketts, whom I work for. I don't think it's a secret. I lead economic development for the state of Nebraska. Myself and my teammate, Danette Smith, who leads the Department of Health and Human Services, we are really, really leading at a state level Just Do Business. I mean, we are already doing business with one of the larger African-American female-owned Black businesses out of North Omaha. We have, a number of contracts with North End Teleservices and Carmen Tapio. Carmen has in turn been able to hire a number of citizens, over 80 out of North Omaha, and paying them more than a meaningful wage. They have benefits, and they've been able to receive raises for the first time. And they've also been able to move into new apartments and purchase homes. So you can see through Carmen's relationship with the government, we are living the Just Do Business model. So to answer your question, Bob, we are working with a few firms right now to start really pushing the 7 initiatives that we're talking about. And there are active conference calls and Zoom calls on the calendar this week to start to execute on these 7 initiatives that we're talking about. And we will be dividing them up into, so what are items from a tactical standpoint that a majority firm can really start right now, and then what action items may be a little more strategic and that will need a longer timeline to execute. We'll put real goals around this. We'll put real measurements, and we'll create a real scorecard so that we can report out to the community the movement that has occurred as a result of our initiatives.
Tony, pretty impressive stuff. I'm certainly one person here, and I'm sure there are many in the audience who are very impressed with what you have going on. As we wrap up a little bit here, tell me, Tony, or tell our audience, what's an interesting aspect of your organization that you would like to leave with us? What would you like us to know about your organization?
Well, Bob, what I'll say about Just Do Business, and I want to clarify again, I keep driving home, Robert Blackwell Jr., the author of Just Do Business, I call myself a disciple of Robert Blackwell Jr. And then as we look at Do More Good, which Jay Wilkerson is the author, I'm just part of the team. But what I will say is that I think when we really take a step back, Bob, we have more in common than we do apart. When you look at what entrepreneurs have been able to accomplish here in the state of Nebraska, and you look at the hard work and some of the opportunities that they have received, I just did a book called Something in Water, the story of Lincoln's founders and builders. These are 20 entrepreneurs who have created these large-scale businesses who have not only national but international acclaim. And I can tell you, Bob, in every one of those stories, there was somebody that gave that entrepreneur an opportunity. Now, that entrepreneur took that opportunity to the next level. They had a lot of grit, they had a lot of drive, and they used their resources well. But somebody gave them an opportunity. So to answer your question, what I'd like to leave is that the only thing that Black folks are asking for is an opportunity to participate. I sit here right now, Bob, not because I'm special. I want to make that clear. I sit here right now, not because I'm special, but because somebody saw something in Tony Goins and gave me an opportunity. And as a result of the opportunity that I've received, to whom much is given, much is required, I've been able to gain a higher level of influence, which gives me the opportunity to share the stories right now and to influence Just Do Business. So all we're asking for is an opportunity, and we'll be prepared for that opportunity. And here in the state of Nebraska, we'll all wear the same jersey, and we will all have an opportunity to live a better life and create a legacy for our families across the state.
Tony, there are a lot of us who now think that you are something pretty special, and we really appreciate that. Tell me in a sentence or two, Tony, the people who are listening, why should they donate to Just Do Business?
Well, I think they should donate because economically, it is going to create a better state. So if you think about holistically our state's economy, you want everyone being able to participate in the economy because that means higher tax revenues. And higher tax revenues for the entire state means that we can spread our tax base out, and it creates more opportunities for everyone. So listen, you can look at it from an emotional standpoint and say it's the right thing to do. Just Do Business looks at it from an economic standpoint and the impact that the state will have if you have more successful businesses operating at scale, recruiting more businesses to move to the state, creating more diversity in our state. Those are all economic levers that will create more success and will create a better life for all Nebraskans, all 1.94 million. We need to be more than just 1.94 million, but it creates a great opportunity for everyone.
Tony, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Goines with Just Do Business, one of our nonprofit organizations, and we really appreciate your time and sharing with us just what Just Do Business is all about. Thanks again for joining us today, all of you Ignite Lincoln fans. Remember, you can donate to all 5 of our feature nonprofits, and you can do that right now. Just simply go to ignitelincoln.org/donate and support all of them, or which one is your favorite. Today's vote goes with Tony Goines of Just Do Business. Whoever gets the most individual donation walks away with part of the $9,500 matching fund. So again, that's lincoln.org/donate. So please let us know if you have any questions or concerns, and head now, right now, ignitelincoln.org/donate. Thank you.